In this tutorial, I will introduce to you the particle system in Unity. In order to create a particle system in Unity, go over to Game Object and then select Particle System. And as you can see, you will have an emission point here emitting all of these particles. Now, if you still have Particle System selected, you're going to want to look over here on the right hand side of your screen to the inspector, and we're going to look at how we can modify these properties to change these particles to look the way we want them to. Now, this could easily span a whole tutorial course in and of itself, but in this Introduction to Unity 5 tutorial course, we're just going to look at this over the length of this video on how we can modify some of the basic properties of this particle system in order to get it looking different than it currently does now. So I could instantaneously, to make it start looking different, change the start color to anything I want. Let's say I want to make this a light green. Next, I could change the shape that it's emitted with. Currently, it's emitted with a cone. I could make it emitted with a sphere. I could also make it emitted with a box. Notice how each of these different emission types makes these particles emitted in different ways. I could go to emission and change the rate that it's emitted by. I could also come down here and change color over lifetime. I'm going to double click here. I'm actually going to select, I'm going to check this box here, this little circle, and now I'll be able to double click. And now I can double click one of these sliders here, and if I change that to something like black, you'll see now that over time my particles get darker. Now if I drag this all the way this way, right, and then I start dragging this white and this white, you'll see how I can instantaneously make these particles more white. But then if I want to, I could drag these back, drag the black over, add more black to it, and now I'm making these particles more black. So it really all depends on where you want the transition to happen during the animation. You could also come down here and change some of the render settings. You'll also notice here that this little window has popped up. I can pause, I can re-simulate the particle effect, or I could stop the particle effect altogether. Then I could go back to simulate. It'll also show me a playback speed where I could increase the speed or decrease the speed even to a halt. And I'm just doing this by going over this attribute here, clicking and dragging in whichever direction I want. Could sort of rewind and fast forward here. And also, I can up the particle count or decrease the particle count. As you'll see here, these numbers are now changing on their own.